Here's Adam Kennedy, Deputy Assistant from the White House. Adam, great to have you back.
It's great to be on. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. Adam Kennedy. Now, the president's going to welcome Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada to the White House today. And now the visit is set up to reaffirm our partnership with Canada, but also allow the two leaders of the two countries to address how we're going to move forward with USMCA. Can you elaborate on this meeting, Adam?
Well, really, I mean, we've seen some great progress on getting USMCA ratified. Mexico's ratified it. Now it's up to Canada and the United States. In the United States, really, what we have is Democrats who have been calling supposedly for reforming NAFTA for a long time, now standing in the way of a much, much better deal that's going to help our workers and help our farmers. So hopefully they'll come around and realize that just because the president is getting a big win here doesn't mean they have to stop the American people from getting the benefits.
Well, listen, the NAFTA deal that we had was a disaster. And remember, this was much to the benefit of Canada. That's why originally Trudeau didn't really want to renegotiate this. They were dumping dairy into the United States. They were dumping timber. They were subsidizing that. And they had like a 350% tariff on our Midwestern dairy products going into Canada. Obviously, look, if you're running Canada and you've got a favorable deal like that, you're not going to want to change it, right?
Well, I think that's right. And I think that, as we've seen, the president's been willing to continue negotiations with Canada even after USMCA. That's why we've seen them take down a lot of their agricultural barriers ahead of USMCA, and why once USMCA passes, it's going to be such a big boon for our farmers. It's going to open up a lot of markets to them that were previously closed by NAFTA.
So can you be a little more specific, Adam? I know we have dairy products that I believe will now be able to be marketed in Canada without that 350% tariff they had. What other, do you have any specifics, other farm specifics that U.S. farmers in the Midwest you think are going to be able to market to Canada?
Oh, sure. There's of course, dairy products. There's wine. There's wheat. There's various other things that had not just tariff but non-tariff barriers. So, like with wheat, they had various classifications that essentially kept Americans out. Those are all going to be going away. And as we've seen earlier, when the president used tariffs, as we've seen it be so effective, to get Canada to already kind of jumpstart the process and begin opening up their markets already.
Well, you know, the other thing I want to mention about and get you to elaborate on this, Adam Kennedy from the White House with us now, is one of the biggest issues I had with NAFTA was that the Canadians were subsidizing timber, and they were dumping timber really in the United States at under market prices, driving our loggers out of business. And one of the ironies of this, Adam, about NAFTA, which I pointed out all the time, is the factories that had closed up in basically the upstate New York area around Buffalo and Albany. All these factories that had closed up, all of them, you know, when a factory closes up, they put plywood on the windows. The plywood, the sticker on the plywood in the boarded up factories would say, "Made in Canada." I mean, it was unbelievable what was going on. Now, finally, this president has changed that. Do we have an economic number, Adam, that we can anticipate where we're going to have a more favorable trade environment, a target number?
You know, I think a lot of that's still being worked out in terms of the exact specific new factories that will open and people that will be hired. But as we've already seen, people have noticed the policies this president's put in place. We've seen over 500,000 manufacturing jobs created. We've seen new factories open up. USMCA is just going to jumpstart that even further. It's going to be like a shock of adrenaline to our manufacturing sector, particularly with some of the labor laws and some of the sourcing laws, which are basically going to require companies that are selling things to Mexico and Canada that have factories here to produce a lot of those components. That's going to be more workers and higher wages.
You know, the other thing that I want you to comment on this meeting, Adam, is the fact that, remember when the president first started renegotiating NAFTA and saying he was going to scrap it, remember how upset Trudeau was and how mad the Canadians were, the Canadian government. They were very upset. They were blasting the president. The relationship had gone sour. The Liberals and the Democrats on the other side, and some Republicans were criticizing the president about this is no way to treat an ally. Well, it was no way for Canada to treat us. They had a favorable deal, and they wanted to stick by it because we were getting screwed, right? It was simple. Hey, if you're screwing somebody and you're winning and you're cheating them and you're making a lot of money off it, of course you don't want it to change. Trump wanted a level playing field, and he was tired of getting stabbed in the back by Canada on NAFTA. But now it seems like their relationship, Trump and Trudeau, has revitalized because it looks like Trudeau respects the president now, knows that he's serious and following through, and he's got to work with him. So it's kind of like they've made up and they're going forward. Is that an accurate assessment?
Well, I'd say everybody was really very critical and very skeptical of the president when he said he wanted to scrap NAFTA and put in place a new deal, a deal better fit for the 21st century. You had Mexico, you had Canada, you had Democrats, you even had some Republicans essentially say that this was a fool's errand, that the president shouldn't be wasting his time on this, and that he would never be able to get it done. And I think he's shown everybody, he's really shown the whole world, that when the president puts his mind to something, he will achieve it. And we've seen that time and time again. So I'd say lots of people were surprised that we got to this point, but we're very far along in the process. We just need to finish the deal out, and I think we're going to see a much better trade system for all three countries. I think everybody's going to benefit from this.
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, trucking the truth across America. We're live today with Adam Kennedy. Adam, a deputy assistant to the President of the United States. He's live from the White House. Adam, Trudeau and President Trump again will be meeting at the upcoming G20 summit, June 28th and 29th in Osaka, Japan. What do you look for coming out of that meeting?
I'm sorry, which meeting was that?
The G20 summit in Japan.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think the president has been pushing from the very beginning for using what we've learned and getting USMCA passed to bring that to our entire global system. We need freer, fairer, more reciprocal trade. We've seen him push that with Japan, where he's opened up American beef there. We've seen him push that with China, where negotiations are ongoing, and we expect negotiations to continue. And we've seen that with Europe, where he's put them on call that you can't just tariff our cars to the end of time without there being a response. So I think the president's going there with a very strong trade agenda. He's going to make sure that that is the primary focus of the meeting, as it should be.
You know, during NAFTA, when the president started railing against this, and by the way, he was opposed to NAFTA back in 1995, when it first went down with Clinton and Newt Gingrich. As I said at the opening, there were four Republicans opposed to NAFTA back then: me, Peter Navarro, Pat Buchanan, and Trump. That was it. But you look back, Adam, just a short time ago, when the president was getting blasted on this, like you alluded to, by so many people. Now, finally, after an 18-month drumbeat of trying to explain this, finally Americans are starting to understand that these countries, allies or not, have been screwing us three ways to Wednesday. You know, before USMCA comes into being, just in the last 2-year period, we had a $350 billion trade deficit with Mexico, a $200 billion trade deficit over that period of time with Canada. That's money flowing out to them, nothing coming in to us, or that's what the deficit was. And now that's going to even out. And as the president said yesterday, the tariffs are actually helping the economy because it's bringing back U.S. jobs, manufacturing. Adam, 500,000 manufacturing jobs created in the United States since President Trump took office. This is a result of the tariffs and the renegotiation of these trade deals. What do you look for going forward, Adam?
I think we want to see that growth continue. As you said very well, NAFTA was put in place under a completely different idea. The idea was, if we liberalize first, we'll pull other countries along with us. What we saw instead was that as we liberalized, other countries stood still. What this president wants is for everybody to open up so that we operate on an even playing field, and that's what we've been doing, and we've seen great success with that. As you said, 500,000 manufacturing jobs, new factories opening in this country all the time, auto factories opening up in this country all the time. They used to be closing at a record pace. We're seeing new markets open up to our farmers. We want to increase that speed of growth. We want to see that go into the next level, and that's what USMCA is going to do.
All right, Adam Kennedy, Deputy Assistant to the President of the United States, from the White House, live on USMCA and Justin Trudeau's visit today to the White House to get USMCA done and through Congress. Hopefully that'll be helpful for that. Adam, thanks for being with us. Thank you. And
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Let's get you on more often. Thank you, Adam.